Fox and counting. The O'Reilly Factor.
Thanks for staying with us. And Bill O'Reilly in the Weekdays with Bernie segment tonight. As you may recall, there were some pro-union anti-Fox demonstrators outside of FNC headquarters here in New York City last week. So, of course, we sent Factor producer Jesse Waters outside to greet them. However, some liberal pundits on CNN did not like that.
Can you name an example where Fox has been unfair?
Too many.
Can you name one?
Every day we could be here for hours.
Name one. I have 5 minutes. Name one.
They lied. They lied about the Iraq War.
What'd they lie about?
They lie every day.
You can't name an example of one lie Fox has said, and you're out here calling us liars. Isn't that right?
What you just saw was also not journalism. Journalists do not call attention to themselves, except in rare circumstances. That wasn't journalism. That you could call that a nonfiction entertainment, but it wasn't journalism. So let's understand what, there's a tradition in journalism, and, it evolves with different media, but that wasn't journalism.
Joining us now from Miami to analyze, purveyor of BernardGoldberg.com, Bernie Goldberg. I have no idea what that guy was, what his beef is. I have no idea what his beef is.
I do.
What?
Well, first of all, it was a fun segment. Jesse Waters goes out there and he's talking to a bunch of people yelling Fox lies in front of the Fox News channel, and they can't come up with even one example of how Fox lies. They look foolish. But I do agree with him, or at least I tend to agree with him, that it isn't journalism, and it certainly, more precisely, it isn't anything resembling traditional journalism. Jesse Waters didn't go out there as an objective journalist. He went out there to defend the company that signs his paychecks. I mean, right there's a bit of an issue. If there was one person in that crowd, besides the cheeseheads and the goofy-looking people out there, if there was one person who was intelligent and articulate, and I don't know what the case would be, but made a case against Fox News, I guarantee you Jesse Waters wouldn't stand there and say, oh, really? Oh, that's good.
Listen, his orders were to go out and talk to these guys, but I disagree with you, and I think you're desperately wrong on this one. The role of a journalist is to get information. That's the role. Okay, it doesn't matter whether they're, work for the Washington Post or whether they work for some small-town newspaper. They're supposed to get information. All right, so Waters gets assigned to go out there by me. I assign him to go out there. And my mandate to Waters was this. You go out there and you find out what's bothering these people, specifically what is bothering them. And you find out who sent them here, how they got here. So Waters does both. He finds out that they're mad, Bernie, that Fox lies. Okay? Fox lies about what? And nobody can tell him. They lie about Iraq. Okay. Then he finds out that these people got an email blast from Move On and these left-wing organizations. That's how they knew how to coalesce at a certain time. That's information, Bernie. He did his job. That's journalism.
Well, a couple of points. Then do a news story, which to me is far more interesting, about who they are, how they got out there, are they being paid, who's paying them, who made up the signs, the stuff that you and Michael were talking about earlier in the broadcast. Do a regular news story. Look, everybody in journalism has a reputation of sorts. And Jesse Waters is a nice guy. I happen to like him personally. But he is not an objective reporter. His job, you say you sent him out to find out what was going on. Yeah. And Jesse Waters is going to come back with certain kinds of information because he knows what the boss likes.
No. I didn't tell him to get If they had it,
that's how it works in real life.
Well, that's not how it works on a Factor. Number one, this is an opinion program, and he's a Factor producer working for an opinion program. So I send him out, and I send him out with, as I send all my producers out, with very specific things. This is what I would like to know. He's not going to do a package like you would do on a Katie Couric broadcast, because that's not what we do. He did what I asked him to do. And it wasn't tilted, and he wasn't putting words in people's mouths. He wasn't neglecting it. If somebody had an articulate point of view, he probably would have, get him. Bring him on in. I'll talk to him. Okay? So I think you're wrong on this one. Now, I got 2 minutes left, so let's go into Michael Copps. Michael Copps is the FCC commissioner who has said that Bernie and I okay,
Right.
are bad people or Wiccans or something. What's his beef with me and you, Bernie?
He says that you and I misrepresented his position, and I don't know
On what?
how we represent. Well, presumably on something that he won't call the fairness doctrine, but it amounts to it. Look, I don't. By the way, there's a solution if we misrepresented anything he said. I'm sure he's welcome on this
Oh, we
program. Let
invited
answer
him
some of
18
your.
times on the program, this pinhead.
Right, he won't do it. He won't do it.
Of course
Look,
not.
here's my position. That liberals on the FCC, liberals in the Obama administration, and liberals in Congress want to resurrect something resembling the fairness doctrine, which basically says that both sides, liberal and conservative, on controversial issues, basically get equal time, basically. And to do that, they're going to have to take, the liberal, he won't call it that, by the way. This is important. He won't call it the fairness doctrine because that term is radioactive. He's calling it localism, which means he wants local voices to come on radio stations around the country, for instance, and have their say. But the local voice isn't going to be Miss Smith from the library. It's going to be some left-wing activist that comes on, and that means that conservative voices on talk radio are going to have to go to make room for these voices. Listen, liberals in Congress and at the FCC are fearful of the power of conservative media. If the top radio shows were liberal, if MSNBC were the top cable station, Mr. Copps wouldn't be concerned about any of this.
All
That's
right.
what this is about.
That's what I think it's about,
To silence or to cut back liberal voices on the air.
All right, conservative voices on the air.
I'm sorry, thank you. Thank
You're
you.
welcome.
Conservative voices on the air.
Anytime I can be of help, you know that. I'm here for you. Bernie Goldberg,
I appreciate
everybody.
that.
Reality Check.